Welcome to Court Explainer, where we are dealing with the question of Part 242 of the laws of Kenya, narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. What is the law? We have said very well, we are losing our generation. The generation is being lost to drugs. The fight against drugs has gone a notch higher. Let us deal with Section 2 of this drug interpretation. We said we have 10 episodes. This is episode 2. What is the law providing for definitions? The first is an addict. Who is an addict? The law says an addict is a person addicted to any narcotic drug or psychotropic substance. These are people who cannot live without drugs. You have seen guys who wake up in the morning, they are shaking. They can't hold a glass of water. They can't hold a glass of tea. They can't hold a bottle of a drink because they are shaking. Then they tell you, because let a key to a lock. The lock brings that person, the body to function. Are you having that lock? Then you are an addict. Can you go to work without taking one for the road, without smoking cannabis? Then you are an addict. Anywhere where one is a dependent, that person is defined by law as an addict. Number 2, we have what is called cannabis. What is the meaning given by the law on cannabis? It means the flowering or the fruiting tops of the cannabis plant. So the cannabis plant has 2 things: the flower and the fruit. So you cannot say, me, I was only having a flower because it's Valentine's Day, I was taking to my girlfriend. I know the 14th of February, very many people will be taking flowers to their girlfriends and their lovers, but not the cannabis flower. The cannabis flower is a criminal offense to have a cannabis flower. It says, excluding the seeds and leaves when not accompanied by the tops, from which the resin has not been extracted by whatever name they may be designated. This is the raw aspect of the plant. It is what is called cannabis. It has not been extracted. It has not been processed. We will deal with, after processing, how is it called by the law. Third, we have what is called cannabis oil. Cannabis oil, which means any liquid containing any quantity, however small, of a tetrahydrocannabinol. A good sister, your lotion, body lotion, does it have cannabis oil? Any form of oil, any form of anything that has cannabis oil is your githeri cooked plus cannabis oil. Is your chapati made with cannabis oil? The law says, so long as it's cannabis oil as an ingredient on anything, that is criminal law. You'll be jailed. Then we have cannabis plant, which means any plant of the genus cannabis by whatever name called, and includes any part of that plant. Any part of a plant called cannabis. Call it jina yenu ile ya mtaa. Call it jina yenu ile ya mapenzi yenu. Call it whichever name. It is illegal. From the roots of that plant, to the stem, to the branches, to the leaves, to the fruits, to the flowers, any part of that plant, if you are found with it, So stop telling the police that I'm only carrying the bark of our plant. Any part of a plant called cannabis plant is illegal. So now you know. I know guys will cheat you that if you carry this bark and if you chew it, you'll pass your exam when the exams are coming. Let the Subaru get. It is criminal, any part of the plant. Then we have the cannabis resin. Cannabis resin, which means the separated resin, whether it is crude or purified, which is obtained from the cannabis, but does not including cannabis. So there are extractions from the cannabis called cannabis resin, whether it is raw, whether it is processed, whether it is at any preparation stage, the law makes that thing illegal. Very interesting. Then we have a charge. We are now dealing with charge. What is a charge? Not a charge sheet. A good friend, Calvin, is asking whether it's a charge. You know, it's not a charge sheet. We are dealing with the letter C. It says it includes lien, hypothecation, a pledge, and other security on property or created to secure the payment of a debt or performance of an obligation. What does this mean? You go take a property, then you are saying, keep this property, I'll go and sell cannabis, I'll go and sell a psychotropic substance, I'll come to pay. You are given money because you are going by the Shylock so that you can transport your cannabis. You can transport your drugs. Remember, we talked that this law deals also with forfeiture of any proceeds of crime that has been generated from drugs. So it is illegal to charge anything as a lien. Lien, for the lawyers will tell you, is when you take your good phone and say, keep it, give me money until I return the money. So the question is, when you go to buy the changa, when you go to buy drugs, have you taken your phone, your friend's phone, because you can't afford, then somebody retains it. If you retain and you claim that I gave Vivian some cocaine, this to me is my lien. There is no lien under law. So businessmen and businesswomen, you now know there is no lien. You can't charge anything that is involved, any property, under the question of drugs. Then we have a factory. People asking, are these drugs manufactured in factories? Donald Trump, the president of the USA, talked that Colombia has factories. Venezuela has factories that produce the narcotics. Do you have a factory in your bedroom? Have you ever seen a factory? What is the definition of a factory that produces narcotics? It says, clandestine laboratory means, 1, the purchase or procurement of chemicals, supplies, equipment, or laboratory location for the illegal manufacture of specified controlled substance. Any form of purchases for the purpose of production of these drugs. Any factory, whether big, whether small, whether it is a small pot that you are using to produce a prohibited drug, that is a factory. Don't expect to look at the factory as big as industrial area. A factory can be in your bedroom. A factory can be in your sitting room. A factory can be in your hostel for the university students. A factory can be anything that is used to procure and to produce. That is a factory under here. B, the transportation or arranging for the transportation of chemicals, supplies, or equipment for the illegal manufacture of controlled substances. Do you have a car? Do you have a lorry? The transport issue. Do you have a pickup? Guys of the small Vits, people of Uber. Has anybody ever borrowed you a car? And that car is used to transport either chemicals for production or they are transporting finished products. That one is part of the factory. 3, the setting up of equipment or supplies in preparation for the illegal manufacture of specified controlled substance. If the DCI gets you preparing the factory, it is illegal. So don't say that I have not manufactured anything. Me, I'm only setting up equipment here. Setting up an equipment for the purpose, the intent of producing narcotic drugs, you will find. I've seen in Cuba, they are trying to say that we have never produced anything, but these facilities have never produced anything. The law says if you set up anything for the purpose of production, that is a factory. It moves on. Now the process itself of compounding, synthesizing, purifying, separating, extracting, or packaging, repackaging, labeling, containing, holding a substance, the whole process of production, from entry to packaging out of the factory. That one is a factory. So when you go get a plant, hide it under your kitchen, alafu unaanza kutengeneza, that process, the whole process is called, it is prohibited. E, the illegal manufacture of these circumstances. Then lastly, the distribution. The distribution. We'll be talking about trafficking, but the distribution, if you are distributing, my university students, my Gen Z guys, my border guys, have you been given a parcel to deliver and you don't know what you are delivering? So if you are involved in distribution, whether you know what you are distributing or you don't know, it is illegal. The diversion or disposal of chemicals, supplies, or products used in this manufacture. So we have defined the term a clandestine laboratory. That is the process as per provided by the law. Then we come to another one, Coca bush. I have a friend of mine called Cyrus. He always asks me one question. Cocoa, I've been taking cocoa like tea. What is wrong with cocoa? Cocoa is a product. I'm not talking about cocoa. I'm talking of Coca. Coca is C-O-C-A. Coca bush is different from C-O-C-O-A. That is cocoa. The Cyrus, continue taking your cocoa. He moves on to say, this means the plant of any species from which cocaine can be extracted. Now you know where cocaine is extracted from. Cocaine is extracted from a plant called coca bush. It is not a factory manufactured chemical. it is from a plant called Coca bush. Moves to the next one. Coca leaves means the leaves of the coca bush from which cocaine can be extracted either directly or by chemical transformation. The coca leaves is where cocaine is extracted by either by chemical transformation or extracted directly. You now know what cocaine, where it is. Then we have a term called conveyance. There's a student at Kenya School of Law called Joe is asking, conveyancing, we were taught at conveyance to sell land, to sell properties. What offense have we committed when as lawyers we are doing conveyancing? Land buying companies are doing conveyancing. Omari has gone mad. How can he link conveyancing to drugs? Listen very well. I'm not talking about conveyancing. I'm talking of conveyancing. What does it say? It means a conveyance of any description used for the carriage of persons or goods and includes any aircraft, vehicle, or vessel. Any vessel used to transport a drug, aeroplane, if your chopper is to transport, it will be charged under the offense of conveyancing. If your boda is used to transport, it is called a conveyancing. If your tuk-tuk is being used on that, if your lorry. So, what have we say? The person and the equipment used to transport, that equipment, that is why it will be forfeited. As we are moving, we are going to tell you that any vehicle found transporting drugs will be forfeited. Any boda found transporting the drug will be forfeited. That is what we are saying, any of those. Then we have cultivate. What is the meaning of cultivation? Digging. Must they define the digging? Listen here what they say. It is in relation to any plant, including growing the plant. If you grow the plant, you sow it, or you scatter the seed. You scatter the seed. If you walk and throw it there, and you say, look, this thing has grown by itself. Me, I've never dug, I've never taken a djembe to dig. That is scattering. That is cultivation. If you nurture or you tend the plant, wewe unakamata unaambiwa, wakili Omari, Calvin, you need a job? Yes. Be watering that plant. You don't know even what that plant is. Wewe kazi yako ni asubuhi, your job is to water a plant. Kumbe that plant is a drug. You'll be arrested and you'll be convicted. So if you nurture, if you tender any plant that is a drug, if you are found harvesting those flowers, I know Mount Kenya region guys have in the slopes of Mount Kenya, there are people who have planted these things there. Then you say, okay, you guys go, you want school fees? Yeah. And muni harvest those plants. You even don't know what that plant is. My friend, you'll go in. If you harvest the plant, fruits, leaves, or seeds, or the whole of that plant, that person is called, that is an offense that will be taken, you'll be taken to court. Then we have what is called illicit traffic. Illicit traffic. What does illicit traffic means? A, cultivating any coca bush or gathering any portion of that plant. B, cultivating the opium poppy or any cannabis plant. C, engaging in the conveyance, production, and all those things. And lastly, handling or letting out of any premise. Here is where now we are. Handling or letting any premise for the carrying on of any activities referred in paragraph 5. Here, landlords, people who have properties, your house. Do you know who has rented your house? It is under, we shall be dealing this in the next law of how do you lease a property. It is your responsibility as the owner of the house to know what type of business the tenant is going to do. Don't tell everybody that, me, I leased the house. If the man turned it into a factory for drugs, you'll be the first one to be arrested. A big warning for property owners. So if your premise, you let it, one, for these activities, you will be arrested. If your premise is used to manufacture, if your premise is used as a warehouse where the drugs are kept, if your premise is used for concealment, they conceal and hide there. If your premise, and I'm talking about these guys who own the Airbnbs. On Friday, there is a new concept of hiring a premise for bash. The young people will dance, the young people will hold their parties there. If your premises as an Airbnb or anything, you give it for use of consumption of drugs. If the police come there and find that people are consuming drugs in your Airbnb, they'll be arrested and you'll be arrested. If your premises is used for importation or exportation or transshipment of drugs or psychotropic circumstances. So the owners of the premises, the owners of the vehicles, the owners of any form of transport means, the burden is on you to ensure your property is not used for the question of drugs. So we go today. If your properties, now we have the banks, we have the financiers, we have guys who have money. Do you know it is an offense to finance? You are saying, me am a Sherlock. If you finance drugs directly or indirectly, end of this process, directly or indirectly, the DCI has the power to get into your M-Pesa account. The DCI has the power to get into your bank account. If they find that your finances are directly or indirectly funding drugs, they'll come for you. Then it goes on to, if you abet, very interesting, or conspiring and in the furtherance or in support of doing any of these activities, if you condone, you know, Mari's law firm is not a law firm for criminal practice. It's a law firm for drugs. You were here and you knew that. And you abet it, you go away, you don't report. If you have knowledge that somebody is producing drugs, somebody is funding drugs, and you do not disclose that, it is a criminal offense to abet and not to report. If you support it. And lastly, if you harbor the persons engaged in these activities, the police have put a notice. They are looking for the biggest drug trafficker called Danstan Omari. Then Omari walks in to a lodging, to a 5-star hotel. You book in that person, you will be arrested for harboring a criminal. Some of your sons have stolen from Nairobi, or they have done drugs. They hear the DCI is looking for them. They run home and hide there. Your colleagues you went to school with are in drug business. When the heat is on, they come and tell you, allow me for 2-3 days. I pass around here. Your girlfriend who has refused to come to visit you for 10 years, kumbe she's a drug addict, or she's a drug peddler. Then she walks to you and says, I can give you company for 1 week. As you are going to work, you leave her there selling cocaine. If the cops get you her there, you are harboring a drug person. So anybody who harbored Maduro, and Maduro is in Kenya here, anybody who harbors a drug dealing person, you are as liable as the person who is in himself doing drugs. So don't allow people to your premises. Don't allow people without knowing exactly the type of business they are doing. Don't allow people in your house with the baggage of bags. You don't know what is inside those bags. Don't allow people to enter into your territory without knowing their character and without knowing what they are carrying. You don't. All these things, there is now what you call the international conventions. What is the international law? How has the world acted? How did Maduro get arrested? A sitting head of state, they are protected. You don't arrest another head of state. But what does the law say? The laws are there. We have 5 international laws, conventions. The first is called the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs, 1961, which was adopted by the UN in 1961. The second one is the Protocol amending the Convention, which was adopted in Geneva in March 1972. 3, the Convention on Psychotropic Substances, adopted in Vienna in 1971. 4, the United Nations Convention against illicit traffic in narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, adopted in Vienna on the 19th December 1988. And lastly, any other international convention or protocol or any other instrument amending any international law which may be ratified and acceded by Kenya after the commencement of this act. So there is the international law. We have 4 international UN conventions. We have the Kenyan Constitution, and we have the Narcotics and Psychotropic Act, Chapter 242, which forms the basis why you are going to be arrested, why the DCI will take you. So the law is there to deal with those guys. Who can arrest? Can the chief arrest you? Can the village elder arrest you when he finds you puffing cocaine? It's not me. Popta gets it. A law enforcement officer means any person who is responsible for the prevention, investigation, apprehension, or deterrence of persons suspected to have committed an offense. Any policeman, any member of the citizen can arrest you. It's called citizen's arrest. Anybody can arrest a drug peddler or a drug-taking person. So stop saying the chief cannot arrest me. Stop saying the assistant chief cannot arrest me. Anybody can arrest you. Then we have what is called the market value. You have always heard that when somebody has been arrested, they say cocaine worth 20 million shillings. How? An illegal product, can it have a price? Can it have a market price? Yes. Market value means the value of narcotic drug, psychotropic substance, prohibited plant, or precursor. So they will always get that, what we call the value. Now let us go to this question. Is narcotics prohibited completely? Some doctors prescribe it. Are you aware you can go to a hospital and be treated by narcotics? Then why are these guys stopping us from buying narcotics? My good friend Wajakoya was saying we should export these and make money. Because narcotics is a drug that is used for treatment, medical treatment. I know guys cannot believe it. Why don't we deal with that in the next episode, where we are now dealing these drugs as medical drugs, and what does the law deal with it? Wakili Danstan Omari, still bringing it live on the 10th episode. This is the second episode. We have 8 more episodes on the question of the narcotics and anti-drug issues. Wakili Danstan Omari.